Good evening. Today is the 12th of October, about 8:35 p.m. here in New York, and we will be doing our third session. Let's begin with any questions you folks have. If there is anything I could help you with, this is the time. I can go back and explain you anything you want me to, because starting from today, it's gonna get a little bit challenging. Challenging in the sense we will be finishing off the data-driven testing today, and if time permits, I will get you into programming. I'll get you into groovy scripting. That is the objective. That's the goal. But let's see how far we could get. Now, today's class will be using the Pro version, and I hope it opens because I have started it about like a minute back, and it's still struggling to open. So it will be with the Pro version that we'll be working with. And once we finished working with the Pro version, then we're going to be moving into the open source, which is a lot of coding. I have heard a term UDDI in web services. Can you explain the term UDDI? UDDI is Google. UDDI is like the Google. Basically, what it is it's a repository. If you need to search for any web services out there, you could find the details of a web service that anybody would like to publish it. They would be publishing it into the UDDI. So UDDI, let's say if I have a web service that can measure the distance between point A to point B, right? If I feel that the world would need it, and I down the road might sell it. So in order to advertise, in order to let people know about it, I will post the details of that web service into UDDI. So it is a repository of the web services basically used by corporations, by companies to publish their web service into, so that it can be found. If somebody is looking for it, it can be found there. It is basically used by developers to publish their web services if a company decides to do that. So now, if you need to see as how we can publish a web service into a UDDI, I have to wear the hat of a developer to show it to you. Today, I'm going to give you a glimpse of the life of a developer. Not that you are interested in it. Of course, you're not, because you're not a developer. You're not a programmer. But there is a need for you to know as how to do, let's say, regression testing. So if you're doing a regression testing, basically I have to give you a demonstration of I will become a developer. I will add some new behavior or some new functionality to my existing web service that you have already tested. So I will be adding some more features to it. If I add some more features to it, and if I dump it onto the test server, then how does it affect your life? So you have to do the regression testing of it. So how you as a tester are going to do a regression testing of a web service that has been updated is what we'll be looking at today after I finish what is called the data-driven testing. So why don't we get started? Let's do some data-driven testing first, and then we get into regression testing. Okay, so I will be going into the projects, and we will be working with the existing project that we have. If you look into, let me see, if you look into what I have in here, so okay. So I think I gotta go and then open my project, because the project is in a different workspace. So a couple of ways I could do it. I could switch my workspace. If I go and switch my workspace, it is going to bring any project that was saved in that workspace. So if I go back and to switch my workspace, boy, I got to figure it out as where it is because there's a bunch of them in here. Let's see. What is the date? October 12th. So, when was our previous class? Our previous class was on 7th of October. So let me see if I have saved something like that here. This is credit card processing bill October 5th. So do I have an October? See, the naming is very important, the way you name it. Otherwise, I myself, I'm struggling here to find it. So let me just see what we have in here. Let me just open up and take a look into it. Build is 10:05. Ali says it is 10:05. Now, if I have good eyes like what you have, I would have already picked it up. Now, let's see. Let's open this and see what we got in here. So once I open that workspace, should be able to see what we got in it. Did we open the workspace in here? That's the one, right? So let's see if it can find it. If not, because what happened is you have not seen it, but before I closed, I did not save it, you know, in the previous class. So probably did not even saved it. So let's do this. Let me, and it won't take more than a couple of minutes for me to create a new workspace, and I'm just gonna make sure that I follow some protocol in here while naming it, only so that it could help me out. So day 3, and I could say this is October 12th, and I will name it as data-driven testing of, and I will use this ePay systems for now, and then I will, within like 20-25 minutes or half an hour, I will show you how regression testing works, because the first half an hour is what it would take for me to show you data-driven testing, and then we'll look at the regression testing. So here's what I'm creating a workspace. So I will save it into this day 3. I will remember, and let's create a project in here. So creating a project, I will go ahead with the new SOAP project, and I will. Somebody had an issue today. Who was that? Let me. I guess Shay, what was the issue? Did you fix it? Were you able to copy? Because probably this is what you were going through. Let me just go and pull the WSDL and take the top one. And let me also help Muhammad Ali. That's a nice name, Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad, you have to watch those 2 days of videos, right? So make sure that you watch 2 days of videos. But since you're already experienced in SoapUI, probably there is not a need for you to watch those 2 days. But you know, I would suggest that you should watch. And I have shared everything with you, so you should be able to find the WSDL links and all that. So here's the WSDL link that I'm taking. And I am going to, okay, this probably should help you, Shay, about I could not, you said I could not paste, I never got the WSDL to enter. So let's see, this is what I am going to do right now, right? So I am, whether you name it or you don't, it really doesn't matter, because even if you keep it empty, once you paste it here, so once you paste it here,
it is going to pick up some name in there. But now the question is, you are not able to paste. So this is what I'm going to do. If I do a Control C to copy something, that is copied to my clipboard. That is copied to my clipboard. If I'm pasting it into Notepad, I should be able to see that I was able to copy it. And the same would go in here. If I paste it there, it would show. If you're not able to copy it, then of course it's not gonna paste it. So you got to make sure about that. And that's a straightforward thing. And so if you could not get it to paste, did you type it out, or how did you manage to do it? Because the idea here is you should have this in there, right? So I don't know if you typed it in there or what. So let me just call it day 3, October 2015, right? And that's the name of the project that I'm going to. Letter by letter, then an error. It's a shame that our names here, or the URL is such a large URL. As you can see, I have TrainingRite. Inside that, I have TrainingRite ePay system. Then I have one more ePay system. Then I have this. That's a shame. So what I'm going to do today is I will make this process a little bit easier by uploading it, right after the TrainingRite, so that you don't really have to type too much of it. But that's pretty straightforward. Yes, there's always a question mark at the end of it, just to mention that it's a, and you will see a little bit more of it once I wear the hat of a developer today to show you how the whole thing works. So let me get started here. So here is my project. So as soon as my project is connected, I should be able to see the interface in here, and that's basically what I see. I see two interfaces. I don't need the older one, so I could highlight it, and then I could just kill it, right click, and then remove, and that's gone, and I'm left with this one. So this one I would like to first of all, I think somebody asked me today about smoke testing of a web service. What is a smoke? I mean, the smoke testing is to make sure that you are not looking into every little detail of the behavior or the functionality of it, but rather looking into if the web service is there, is it up and running, right? So the part of the smoke testing would be to make sure that it has not crashed, or it is not it's not like bombed. I mean, it's not like, so it should be ready to test. So ready to test means that there's no smoke coming out of it, meaning that it's not dead. So it's ready to test, right? So ready to test, one way of making sure that it is ready to test is once you bind, if you see this interface, that means that it is ready to test. But this is just one little way of saying that, okay, the web service is ready, right? But is it like working? So working the way we want it to or not, that's functional testing. But is it working, right? Is it totally up? So the interface gave you all the operations in here, but to make sure that this operation is returning something, you can go and then you could put something in there just to make sure that it is returning something or not. If you come to that point that it is returning something, whether it is returning something good or bad, that is a part of your functional testing. So your smoke testing is, okay, it is returning you something, right? Now, a better way of doing a smoke testing is by using assertions. Okay, that is not the topic of the day today, right? So I will not, yeah, that is not the topic. So assertions are done at the test case level. So I will not do assertions today because I have this data driven that I would be focusing on. So part of your
smoke testing is to make sure that your assertions, your basic assertions, are passing. All right. So here I am. I have all of these operations. I'm gonna go first of all create a test suite. So test suite. So far, nothing new. All of this has been we have been looked into. I mean, we have looked into all of these things in the previous class. Nothing new. But next 3 minutes we will start today's session. So I am going to create it, and I will give it a name, and I will call it. I'll just remove that soap, and I'll just call it a test suite. Okay, based on the selections of that, I noticed that what I have here is this is a test suite. As you can see, it's a test suite, and inside it we have multiple test cases. So this is a test case, and inside each test case, um, if I go, there is a request, and as you can see, my request is taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. So if we already talked about passing the parameters that way, but we are going to be doing it here just to make our life a little easy. So if I go in and put some credit card number, and if I put the expiration date and the CVV2 and the year of it, and then the amount, and the amount, let's say, is 399, and if I run it, here is my return. My return is, okay, it is telling me that sorry, you have an issue, and blah 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 blah. So it is returning something, whether it is supposed to give you that it could not authorize that is based on the data. That's based on the data, right? So but the fact that it is returning you something, that means that our web service is fully functional. Okay, now this is the point where we stopped in the previous class. So now we will data drive it. In order to data drive it, we have to have some data, and the data that we will have is basically going to be taking from here. So I'm just going to go in here, and I will bring the data, and the data is sitting inside my test data folder. And as you can see, I'm just going to take some some folder in here. So this is from 2014. Let's say if I take this and see what I have, and okay, we got a bunch of data in here. So what I'm going to do here is I will see if my data fits the requirement of my test case. So my test case, as you can see, my test case, authorization test case, needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields of data that needs to be passed. And I have this 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one is the name of the card, but the fifth one, what I basically need is the CVV2, right? Not necessarily in any order, but if I want to, let's look into the order. The order is credit card, expiration month, then CVV2. So credit card, expiration month. Here I could insert here, and I will say that this is CVV2, and I'm just gonna make up some numbers in here. I think American Express takes 4 back of the card, and I'm just making up some numbers, right? And I have no clue what this Australian bank card would take. If there is any Australian here, if you could tell me, I would appreciate that. Otherwise, we just take some numbers in here. So now let me just copy these, right? So ooh. Okay, so that's fine. There's a negative, so this is something. Let's see what would happen in here, right? If we put some negative number, what would happen there? So some numbers I would change. Some numbers will intentionally keep it negative just for the heck of it, right? So that's our data. I'm going to save my data as
save as, and it is getting saved in the SoapUI test data, and I'm going to give it this is October 2000, oops, October 2015. Okay. All right, so here we go. I saved my data. All right. Now, once I save my data, I'm gonna come back in here, right? And here, this is my, as you can see, this is my inside my test case. If you recall the hierarchy, if anybody could remember the hierarchy, right? The hierarchy is you have the test suite. Inside the test suite is the test case, and inside the test case are the test steps, right? Request is around request. We should be putting in the other test steps. Okay, so request is your test step, which takes basically this data. Now this data was hand manually entered. So what we need to do is we need to basically bring the data from Excel. In order to bring the data from Excel, what you do is inside this test case, you right click on that and you try to add some test steps. The steps that you need to add is going to be something like this. We will take as an example, and notice that we have here your, this is your hang on, this is your request, right? This is your request. Before the request, we need to have something called a data source, right? What this data source does, this request needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? It needs the credit card number, and it needs the CVV2, and it needs the expiration for month, and it needs the expiration for year, and it needs the amount. So all that information is actually sitting here inside your Excel. All that information is inside Excel. Since you need that in the request, basically there is a step called, these are test steps. So there is a test step or an object called data source, which goes and connects, right? And basically connects, right, to your Excel. After it connects to Excel, it brings the data, and the data is passed to your request, whatever request, right? Okay, so one row of data is brought and passed to that. Now for the second row, you need to kick this guy and say that bring me the second row. So for the second row, you need another guy called a data source loop. What data source loop does is it kicks it and it says that go and get the second one. So basically it is moving the row. It is moving the row. It is telling it to move the row to the next row. And once it moves the rows to the next row, then the next row data comes in and goes to in here. Then again, after the next row comes in, this will go and it tell to move the pointer to the next row. So that's how things work. So bottom line here is, in order to do a data driven testing to bring the data, you need to have your data source and your data source loop. These two objects you need to have, or the two test steps you need to have. If you're using what? If you're using the Pro version. If you're using the non-Pro, the story completely changes, right? So right now we are not discussing that. So let's talk about inserting what? Which object out of so many objects? Which object? Data source. So I will insert data source. You want to give it a name. Now we are using this data source object to bind to what? To bring the data from what? From Excel, right? So I can call it Excel data source. If the name is too large, you can even call it Excel DS as a data source, Excel DS, so that you know that it's a whatchamacall, it's a data source object bringing the data from Excel. It need not be named like that, just for our knowledge down the road. If we come and take a look at this test case, we should be able to identify that. Just looking at it, we should be able to know that this is going to connect to some Excel. All right. So this is saying that, okay, do you want to create a data-driven loop based on this data source and configure the test steps automatically? Now, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that. So I would say that no, I will do it myself. So don't do it. So it said no to it. So when you say no to it, it is just pointing to this Excel DS and says that, okay, you have added that step. Now it's your job to configure it. It's your job to configuring is pointing to from which Excel we have to bring the data, right? Okay, first things first. Now, whenever we add this, notice that we have to this test step of data source. This should come first before your request. Whatever this request is, this can be about any operation. So in this case, it is authorization. So this guy has to sit on top of it, because first of all, how is it going to connect? First of all, it will connect and then pass the data to the authorization. So this has to be on the top. So if I just drag it to the top and leave it there, so right now it is right there on the top. And if I double click, this is the configuration that I have to do. Okay, as far as the configuration, we are connecting to that Excel, right? So this is what I got to go and then point to. Data source, I will say that, okay, this data source, this object can technically connect to any source of data. That source of data can be from Excel, it can be a regular CSV file, it can be some Groovy script, it can be a JDBC from database, Java database connectivity, it can be from XML, from JSON, from different things. Right now, we are focusing at Excel, so I'm going to take Excel. So where is the Excel? Can you browse and pick up that Excel file? Sure, we can. So we browse. It is pointing at workspaces. I know that it is not in workspaces. It is inside SoapUI training. There is a folder called test data, and that's where it is. And if you recall, I named it as the October 2015. So this is ePay test data October 2015. If you notice the extension, it is XLSX. Now, if you have a latest version of Word or Microsoft Office, latest version is 2007 and up. 2007 and up, it will show you, it will have an extension of XLSX, right? Otherwise, it will have an extension of XLS. So that's fine. So we pointed to that Excel file. Now, what is a worksheet? Now, if I open this, where is that October here? So if I open this October batch, notice here in the bottom we have sheets. So we can say that, let's say this is the test data that is being used for build, whatever build is. This will be used for the next build. This will be used for the next build. Then you can you can name it, or you right click and then you can rename it. I'm just going to leave it like that so that it's easy for me to just type it, sheet 1, right? Worksheet is sheet 1. Okay, now if you look into it, the data, my data that I need to pass is starting where? Is this my data? This is cell A1. Is that my data? No. Is that my data? I don't even need this to pass, right? My data starts here. So my data is what? B2. My data is B2. So I will now, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that when you are doing it, if your Excel file doesn't have this at all, if you don't see it, right, if this is like not there, now this is A2, right? It should start at A2. So I intentionally keep it so that I can show you some data which is not even needed, and I want you to hear me out. This is not needed for the web service to work, but still probably in my report I need this data. So I'm just gonna keep it here, and I will. My first set of data is coming from B, as in boy 2. would you show again how to create this Excel in SoapUI project? Would you show again how to create this Excel in SoapUI project? Okay, yeah, I can do that. So let's say this is not there, right? That's it. It is not there, right? So you just wanted to see as how I created it. So in that test case, you right click on that and you say add step, right? And then you come down and choose data source and then give it some name. So Excel, I can even call it Excel like that if I want to be like, you know, like a teenager, I will call it Excel. And DS as in DS, right? Or if you want to call it Excel spelled out as Excel, you could do that. So Excel DS, right? And hit OK. Now, do you need automatically? No. So it is coming and sitting in the bottom. So I go and put it up here. So when I come in here, I have to go in, take Excel, point it to that Excel sheet, and Excel sheet is October. I pointed it. Worksheet is sheet 1. And where is my data? My data is coming from boy to B2. So it is B2. Okay. All right. Now, what happens is if my configuration is right, you're welcome. If my configuration is right, then I basically if I'm happy with it, the next thing I want to do here is create properties. These properties are nothing but they are mapping to what I need to bring from the Excel sheet. What I need to. So I need to bring this, this, and that, right? Okay, so there are 5. So I will come in here. The first one is what? Credit card number. So I can call it whatever I want. So CC, I'm just, if you notice, I'm just kind of like, using something so that it really need not map one-on-one with what I have with the field name here. So this field name in Excel and this property I'm creating, they need not be exactly same same name or same heading. I could use anything there and I could use anything here. So that's that. Next thing is I will use CC expiration month, right? Which is this, right? And I will hit OK. Next is what? CVV2. I'll call it CVV2, right? CVV2, right? And next is what? Expiration year. So I will call it CC EXP YY as 2-digit year, and because that's what they had, like a 2-digit year, right? Amount to process, I will come in here, and amount to process, I would say amount to process. Intentionally, I put in 2 in here, right, so that it differs from what we have here, right? Okay, I got my fields in here. I got everything. I needed 5 to pass to my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I got those 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, to make sure that I have that data, I don't know if you were watching here as I was adding, the columns were getting created in here. So in order to make sure that I bring in the data, let me just close this Excel, and click on this play button. When you click on the play button, it'll say that in your Excel sheet, you might have like 1 million records. Do you want to bring all 1 million? So if you want all, say 0, otherwise put the number and I will bring in that many. So, I mean, I don't have 1 million, so I would just say 0 so that it brings all, right? And as you can see, it brought all. So here's my credit card number, and here is my CVV2 or expiration month, and CV. Intentionally, we got some junk or wrong or negative data so that we could see how our web service will behave, right? And that way we can say that, when you enter this data, my web service is giving me a fault. That's how it should behave. That's how it should behave. So it would have been better if they had given us here one more column that would have said expected
expected value. It would have been better if they have given us that, right? But I mean, so be it. If they have not given, that's no problem. We can say I took all this data, and since you did not give me, but this is the actual value that I got, so I can actually actual value, right? That was received from the that we could just push it back into the Excel and give them this thing back, the whole thing. When I took this credit card number, this expiration, this CVV to this, it gave me whatever the value is. When I use that data, it gave me whatever that value is, right? So first of all, I need to figure it out if this is working or not. Then only I can capture the values and put those values in here, right? That's what I intend to do. So let me just go back in here and close this. Save, don't save. Anyway, so we come in here. That's the data I have. Okay, according to this, I did this. We already had this one. What is missing now? This data source loop. So I will go and get the data source loop. So for the data source loop, according to this picture, data source is this should be data source should be, you know, the top one, and request is in the middle, and data source loop is in the bottom. So I expect my data source loop to be after this, right? So you can go in here, right click, insert the step. Which one? Data source loop, because it's going to loop, right? Okay, so I take that. That's the name. So if I want to, I can call it XL, right? Data source loop, right? So anything is fine. That's what I'm calling it. And notice it is sitting up here. So this is very important that it sits right after my request. So what do? You drag it down. You drag it down. You leave it there. Now it is here. Now, since we double clicked on that, we configured it. Likewise, this guy also needs to be configured. So if I double click on that, now if you take a look, very two-step configuration. One is, it is saying that who is my data source? Data source is, so that's the data source, right? Now it is saying that what is my target step, right? What target step is your request? What is your request? So if you see here, the request is authorization. So that's what you have to select, the authorization, and hit OK. All right. Okay. So we got this one, everything configured. We got this one, everything configured. All right. So remember, target step is your request, right? So we configured that. Now, final thing is, we come in here. If you look into what I have in here, I have hard coded this, right? Last time I hard coded. But what I want to do is, I want to get the data. From where? I want to get the data from this XLDS. And inside XLDS, from Excel, we already brought the data and it's sitting here. So CC num, CC expiration month, CVV2, this one, that one. So basically, we need to get the data from here, right? From which object? From XLDS, and what column? These columns. So how do we do that? So when you come in here, first of all, let me just remove it. Let me remove it. Okay. Now there are two ways of you doing that. Since we are using the Pro version makes your life extremely easy, right? Very easy. You don't have to write any code. If there was no Pro version, I would have to do this. I would have to do what? I would have to use like a $ and a curly braces open, curly braces close, and inside the curly braces I have to say XLDS and then a pound and then CC num, something like that. What is this? If you look into whenever we want to get the data from any object, we have to spell the name of the object. The name of the object is XLDS, right? That's how we named it. If I move it, if you can see, XLDS. Inside XLDS, we have a property. So inside this, meaning that I have to use this pound. Meaning inside XLDS, I have a property. The name of the property is what?
if I go here and show it to you, these are the properties, right? So the name of the property is what? If you look into the name of the property is CC num. So I want the value of it. So in order to get the value of it, it has to be in curly braces. And to get the value, you got to put a pound, a dollar sign before it, not a pound, dollar sign before it. All right. So this is what you have to do. Now, if you cannot remember doing that, Pro version says that it's okay if you cannot remember that. Why? Because it says that just do this, right click and say get data. When you say get data, it will show you where are you going to get the data from. So you are going to get the data from this test suite, and inside the test suite you have this authorization, and inside the authorization you have XLDS, and inside the XLDS you have this property from where you are getting the data, right? Okay, one more time. So in order to get the data, my data is here, right? Inside this XLDS. This XLDS is inside this suite, right? So when you right click and say get data, it says where from. So you say this suite. Inside the suite, you have this authorization test case. Inside it is XLDS. Inside is this property. So if you select that, right? In other words, it did the same thing. What I typed, it did the same thing. If I do a control and if I come back and if I paste it, okay, hang on. If I paste it, if I do that, and if I paste it, see, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as what I had typed. What I had typed here, right? So they're basically the same thing. Dollar curly braces XLDS, dollar curly braces XLDS, pound CC num, and then that. So it's better if you start to learn as how to do it rather than taking the get data. Even though it is there for every one. I could just go in there and take it, and this is the second one. I could take it and I go there, do that, do that, do that, do that. Take the CVV2 and I come in here, do that here. Now, can somebody send me what should be for the year? If I give you that, what should be for the year? Can somebody type what should be for the year? Whatever you type, I'm going to take that and put it in there. Okay, I'm just waiting for you guys to tell me. Okay, so I have so far one person responding to it. And so let's see what he or she has here. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so okay, I will not take your names, but somebody, look, this is what I'm looking for here. I want to get the data from here, right? I want to get the data from Excel. So in order to get the data from Excel, for me to put the year, I cannot be putting 15 or 16 because that data could change. So I want the ability to pull the data from there. So the way I can pull the data from there is $, curly braces begin, curly braces close, and inside it, I would say that XLDS pound, and I would say what was the name of that field? The name of that field was CCEXPYY. So I should say here CCEXPYY. That's what it's supposed to be in there. All right. So because
with this, what we are saying is don't bring what you see in here, because this can change. If I change this, so I cannot be putting, I should not be putting 16 or 15 in there. I should be putting a formula so that it can pull from there. So likewise, the formula for this one would be $, curly braces, open, close. Inside it, I would have XLDS, pound, and whatever was here, amount to process. So I will say in here, amount to process. All right. Okay. So I think you all should have no issues in understanding how did I come to this, right? How did I manage to put these things in here, right? So basically, again, one more time, in order to pass data, in order to pass the credit card number in here, I should